once again, everybody, and what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you, and we are on the final two reviews of my SummerSlam Retro and Review series, as we are now on SummerSlam 2015. I'll be doing 2016 next, and then again, since I already did a live review on SummerSlam 2017, and it really wasn't one of my favorite shows to go back and watch. I'm not going to do another review of SummerSlam 2017. I'll just put my live review from SummerSlam 2017 in this playlist, as I've been advertising here and there. But we're now on SummerSlam 2015, which holds a very special place in my heart, because although it wasn't one of the best SummerSlams, it was still like a decent to solid show. I thought it was one of those shows that had some good wrestling involved in it for the most part. There's only really one match that I could say that I did not enjoy, and that was the match with Dolph Ziggler and Rusev that went to a double countout. That one got a little bit of like a D+ rating on my notes here. The wrestling wasn't too bad in the show, but a lot of these matches felt like didn't really lead to anything else moving forward for any of these feuds, or it felt like some of these matches could have easily taken place on Raw with how they were. It was also a long show too. This was the first SummerSlam that was over 3 hours. This SummerSlam was 3 hours and 45 minutes, I believe it was. And of course, so as I said, this was special to me because this SummerSlam I attended live. It's not in my hometown, of course, but it was the first SummerSlam as SummerSlam 2015 to this year's SummerSlam. As I kept saying, next year's SummerSlam is apparently going to be somewhere else. But 15, 16, 17, the next 4 SummerSlams take place in Brooklyn, New York. And my friends and I took a trip out there for the weekend to end our summer as we went to New York City and attended NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which was an awesome show. We only could see the last hour, though, because our mega bus got stuck in traffic in Greensburg on the way out. And then we also got to see a Yankee game. We explored Times Square and a couple other places in New York as well. We had to be on the 40th floor in the New Yorker Hotel, the top floor. We had an awesome view as well. And we got to see SummerSlam. If we didn't have school, though, we would have stayed for the Raw day after, which would have been freaking awesome because that show was so good, especially with the Dudley Boys return. But unfortunately, but I had a good time still. Again, this show was still, I gave it like a little bit of a higher grade I felt it should. I thought first maybe like a C or C+ show, but there were still a few matches I still enjoyed on this show for what they were and whatnot. So overall, this wasn't a complete flunk, but again, with some of the matches feeling like it's gonna be more of like a Raw match, and like it just felt like it was just long. That's what this summer. If it felt like it was long, of course, next year's SummerSlam is a little bit longer, which is a little bit more bearable to feel to watch. But I feel like I'm probably gonna give it the same grade as I did for this SummerSlam. So let's get right into it. As I said, this SummerSlam was 2015, took place on August 23rd, 2015 at the Barclays Center in New York City, New York. In Brooklyn, New York, I'm sorry. The host was Jon Stewart. And he came out at the beginning, and of course they have been hyping up some tension between him and Seth Rollins on The Daily Show. He came out saying he wanted to interview Brock Lesnar. Of course, he was terrified of him. So he brings out Mick Foley, because he claims that Mick Foley, being the guy who has no fear, he pretty much, let Undertaker throw him off of Hell in a Cell back in 1998 and whatnot. So he thought, okay, having someone like him with no fear would go and help him. But Mick flat out said, I can't do this, man. I'm afraid of Brock Lesnar too. And then Stewart's like, but you were able to do this with him, and this, and this, and this, with this, in your career. He says, yeah, I get it, but you gotta keep in mind, that was 14 years ago. That's not, things are different. I'm an older man and whatnot. I can't do that stuff anymore. So pretty much, his plans were ruined as Mick walked down on him, and then we had something with Jon Stewart here and there teased. So we had that opening segment also just to hype up, the rest of the night, since we had a host for SummerSlam in Jon Stewart. So that happens there. And then the opening match you had was Randy Orton versus Sheamus, Mr. Money in the Bank. This feud was meh. Again, like I probably said back in SummerSlam 2010, Sheamus and Randy Orton never seem to really have they do have potential to put on a good match with their physicality and whatnot and everything, but I feel like it just never got to that level. And this match itself was decent, a decent opener, but I would not put it as like an opening match. I think this is more of a cool down match. Of course, what I did like though is they did give Sheamus the win clean, since he just turned heel after he came back at the night of WrestleMania 31. He was Mr. Money in the Bank, but him winning was just the whole typical 50-50 booking scenario. I do like how he did get the win, though. Again, he got it clean. He hit the bro kick once on Randy Orton in the corner, and then he had a second one when Orton, drifted out to get the victory. So, I mean, at the time, I wanted Sheamus to get the win because he has Mr. Money in the Bank, and, he was, I want him to be a little more of an established heel. So I was glad to get the win, but the match was just decent, nothing really memorable to write home about. I probably enjoyed it a little bit better than their match at SummerSlam 2010, but it was alright. So that we had that opening match. Sheamus gets the victory there. And then here's because this is the first time I've actually gone back and watched this SummerSlam since I attended it live. And, of course, some things have to get cut out there just to make things look clean and better and whatnot. Now, something in this next segment was cut out. But something later on in the show was not blurred out or anything, and I was really surprised that happened. So, the New Day came out. Now, this is around the time, New Day had turned heel right after WrestleMania, because, when they first debuted as a New Day, they were just not getting over. Again, I've said this how many times, I thought they were nothing but a bunch of clowns. I'm like, this is not going to work at all. They turned them heel, they started to, get somewhere when they had one run of the tag titles, and they dropped them to the primetime players, which, at this point kind of felt pointless, because I really felt that if they would have kept the titles on the New Day for when they won them at Extreme Rules, and they wanted to have them break the longest reigning tag team championship record from Demolition, I would have felt, a better time to do that could have been against the Club in 2016. But because it didn't happen, that feud really, that was my worst feud of the year, I thought, in 2016. New Day and the Club. But the primetime players, had just reunited. They had a respectable run with the tag titles, but I still think, now looking back on it, they probably should have just kept them on the New Day. What was the point of them dropping to the primetime players? But at first, I still wasn't quite digging the New Day, but they came out and they did some promo making fun of Jay-Z since they were in Brooklyn and whatnot and hip hop. They sung some song, I can't remember what it was, but I remember it was very entertaining, and that's what I think was the segment that sold me on New Day, because I remember for the first time I started chanting New Day rocks after they did that. Like my friends and I too, we weren't really big on the New Day yet, but then we started chanting for them New Day rocks. That was the night I feel that the New Day won the crowd pretty much, gained the respect and whatnot. That they've been looking for to get their momentum going, which of course eventually had them end up being baby faces again at the beginning of 2016. But they cut that part out. They came out with the entrance, and all of a sudden, boom, it's the whole thing we were doing New Day Rocks for the other teams came out for the tag match. They cut out them saying the Jay-Z hip hop song or whatever. I'm like, they cut this out, but they didn't cut out something else later on in the show that I felt should have been cut. Well, not cut out, but really, blurred out or whatnot. But I'll get to that towards the end of the show. But yeah, I was disappointed that they blurred that out. And then out came the rest of the teams, which it was the primetime players taking on the New Day, the Lucha Dragons, and Los Matadores. I do not miss Los Matadores. I don't know why they even got put in this tag match. But anyways, so it was a fatal four-way. Match was alright. There was a couple sloppy moments in the match I do remember seeing also. But of course, with the New Day getting the hot pop from the night in the crowd, they would go on to win the match. I thought Kofi's celebration was epic the way it was. So New Day win the tag titles. This was the start of the 400-some-day title reign they had until Roadblock ended the line in 2016 when they broke Demolition's record, becoming the longest reigning tag team champions. No, I'm sorry. Let me try this again. They became the longest reigning WWE World Tag Team Champions! Had to do that. But yeah, New Day get the victory there and start their second reign as tag team champions, which would of course be the longest reign of tag team championship history. Again, not a bad match, just a little sloppy, but could have been a little bit better, but still not too bad. We have backstage, we have Jon Stewart talking with Neville. I saw Neville and I'm like, I missed you so much, Neville, but no, at this point, I've given up on him coming back. And his tag team partner in their match later on tonight, Stephen Amell, which was Red Arrow and Green Arrow taking on pretty much the Cosmic Kingdom and Stardust and King Barrett. We'll talk about that match very shortly. He was talking about the Undertaker, and then the lights went out, some smoke came up, and Undertaker walked past. Also, some little boy was saying, I don't know if it was Amell's son or something like that. or whoever's son it was. But our hairs walked past, so we had that dark moment, pretty much. And then, here's my lowest point of the show. Dolph Ziggler with Lana in his corner, taking on Rusev with Summer Rae. This is where I felt this feud just fell apart. Because at first, well, here's the thing. This feud started right after Rusev lost his United States Championship feud to John Cena. I mean, they had the match at Fastlane. He got, he cheated with a low blow. He still got Cena to pass out the Accolade, which kind of made him look strong in the long run. WrestleMania, their match was still not too bad at WrestleMania, but of course, Cena wins at WrestleMania again, and then Rusev has to suffer his first loss to Cena, of course. Then they had that Russian chain match at Extreme Rules, which that was okay, but just the feud should have ended there. Cena won. What was the point of having one more match? They have an I Quit match, a fourth match. I Quit at Payback. Why? You knew Cena was going to win that match. What was the point of having that fourth match between them? Why? There was no point at all whatsoever. So Rusev pretty much ended up being a broken man, pretty much. He had a short injury, ankle injury, and then there storyline wise, they split him and Lana up, which, at first, I get it because Lana was becoming more popular, so this might have been a way for them. And as this match felt, it felt like they were trying to get Lana over more than anyone else. So Rusev and Lana split up, and then Lana started hitting on Dolph Ziggler and whatnot. And at first, they made it seem like, I remember in a promo that Lana admitted that she pretty much just went to to Dolph Ziggler first because what had been going on. But and worse, Ziggler didn't want to roll with it. But then he says, "Well, I am pretty much now." And then things start off with Rusev and Summer Rae. Remember, Ruru, whatnot. That was just weird to begin with. I mean, okay, so far, the feud wasn't too bad. Again, I thought it was going to lead to something bigger for Lana. But then Lana suffered the wrist injury not long after this, and then the dynamics started going weird, because it looked like that, Dolph was trying to steal Summer Rae or something like that, and then like the whole thing where, Dolph accidentally walked in on Summer Rae naked or something like that, and Lana got upset about it. It just got so out of control, and I feel like it really started with this match. I mean, give it, Rusev and Ziggler did okay wrestling-wise, but there was no dramatic near falls for the most part, or anything like that. And then it ended in a random double countout, just to have, Ziggler brawling on top of Rusev, and then Summer Rae to brawl on top of Ziggler, and then Lana came again. It felt like more, watching it again, that they were trying, of all four of them, they're trying to get Lana more over. But with Lana's injury afterwards, it did not work, and then things got worse because they had to drop the whole thing after Rusev and Lana accidentally leaked engagement photos on their engagement ring photos on the internet, which put them in hot water for a while. And then, this whole thing just went to mess. Like, Summer Rae briefly was paired up with Tyler Breeze, and that did not work out that good at all. So, this feud just really squandered. And I just thought that this match, it was just the start of that right there. So, double count out due to no contest. All I got to really say about this. Let's move on to another tag. We had a lot of tag matches on this show. Neville and Stephen Amell taking on Stardust and King Barrett. Well, Neville and Stardust are more so already feuding at this time. Of course, there have been rumors of Stephen Amell having a match, probably just to promote the newest movie he was in, whatnot, Green Arrow, whatnot. I can't remember what it was called, but then they just randomly threw in King Barrett in him because he had just been feuding with Neville also in the summer. Well, it wasn't really supposed to happen, but it happened because it started when Neville replaced Daniel Bryan in a match against King Barrett at Extreme Rules, when Daniel Bryan, suffered his concussion that would eventually lead him to having to retire before returning to the ring 3 years later. The match is average. Is more so they're just to put over Stephen Amell's movie. I mean, he got some offense in, but Neville pretty much just carried it for his team. He got the victory hitting the Red Arrow on King Barrett, which, of course, this is when, Barrett's career is just really going downhill. Now, I remember the night after, they did something to write off King Barrett because he was going away for a couple weeks for a movie. They were supposed to have some type of tag match with Neville and Cameron, whose tag team partner was against Stardust and Barrett again, but then Stardust attacked Barrett before the match started, wrote him off, and then they came back. He came back in a match with Stardust and Neville like a couple weeks later. He attacked Neville and he goes to attack Stardust, but then they did nothing with that. I thought that maybe they were going to bring Barrett back as a babyface, which again, I felt needed to happen because, he was so over. But of course, they dropped the bad news gimmick in him. They gave him King of the Ring, but that just made his career worse. And, he eventually got released shortly after WrestleMania 32 and whatnot. So poor Wade Barrett, like you say, in my opinion, the most underutilized star of all time, I feel. But Neville gets the win. The match was what it was, nothing too special. We also saw because this was the year they had Tough Enough, and we had the final 4 competitors at ringside, and of course one of them I believe was Mandy Rose, and we all know how I feel about Mandy Rose, whatnot. So that brightened up a little bit. And then we had this triple threat Intercontinental Championship match. It was Ryback taking on Big Show and The Miz. This match was supposed to happen at Battleground, but then it got postponed due to Ryback being out for 6 weeks with a staph infection. Of course, they treated that, but whose staph infection did not treat? As I remember, we were on the mega bus riding out to New York for this trip. I found a meme online I shared with my friends. It was a meme from Vince and Punk talking at Punk's pointing at each other during Punk's contract signing, and Punk was, I forgot what Vince said, like, he's picked on me or whatnot, and then Punk's like, he thought my staph infection was a mosquito bite. Oh man, but yeah. So this match was place at Battleground. It just felt like 3 random wrestlers being clumped together. And again, like, I was glad at first that Ryback got the run with the IC title because he didn't really get anything. Even though he later mentioned in an interview that was probably more just like a sympathy thing because they wanted him to sign another contract. But he was just tired of them booking him the way they were. I still personally felt that Sheamus should have had a run with the Intercontinental Championship. I feel like, that the Iron was like somewhat decently on a good level with him when they had that Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber match, which guys get a little mad at that one, especially with Mark Henry screwing everything up. But anyways, they should have given the Intercontinental Championship to him, I felt. And then he could have had a run with it, and then it could have helped his credibility with the title and with him being Mr. Money in the Bank also. Fortunately, they didn't give it to him, and then having Ryback with this felt kind of pointless until they gave it to Kevin Owens at Night of Champions. So Ryback won here, but he won after the Big Show knocked out the Miz, and he threw Big Show away, and Ryback pinned Miz for the win. Like, isn't that more of like a heel move, whatnot? But no, this match was just okay. Wasn't really a big fan of it. Ryback retains. We have backstage segment again with Jon Stewart going to Brock Lesnar's locker room, knocking on Paul Heyman's door. They just had a little bit of a discussion. Leads to I guess Jon Stewart says what's going to happen if Brock Lesnar beats The Undertaker, and I guess people are not going to like it or whatnot, or something like that, because it was still weird, because, Brock Lesnar in the summer of 2015 was kind of being treated like a babyface a little bit, and then when Taker first returned, he was kind of more of the heel, because he was using the low blows, but again, people would still cheer for Taker or whatnot, so dynamics were still a tad bit off, but I felt like it was a feud, let them go, let them be themselves, and have them fight. That's what I did like about the Taker and Lesnar feud in 2015. Heyman goes on to sing that glory, glory, Brock Lesnar, or whatever heck it is, the parody of Maya's sing the glory, referring to Brock Lesnar and whatnot. So we had that segment there. So Stewart never got to interview him. We then had Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose taking on Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. The Wyatt family was slowly reforming. This was, of course, the night before Braun Strowman debuted as a member of the Wyatt family, and Eric Rowan wasn't back yet. But this is when the Wyatt family started to, reunite again. And, of course, Roman Reigns is feuding with Bray Wyatt, so he pretty much just called up Dean Ambrose, and they had this tag match. It's a good tag match. I mean, it was short. It was only about an 11-minute tag match or something like that. It was fun, but, again, it just felt like a match that could have happened on Raw or something like that. Reigns and Ambrose get the win, so put two of the Wyatt family members back together, and then they lose. So then they go out and get a third member. Of course, eventually 4 whenever Rowan returned, but all right, whatever. Reigns and Ambrose win. It was still a fun match, though. And now this was one of the better matches of the show. John Cena versus Seth Rollins. Now, Cena was the U.S. champion. Seth Rollins was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It was a title-for-title match. This match was awesome. I mean, Seth Rollins had another really great match earlier this year. It was that triple threat match for the championship at Royal Rumble with Cena, Lesnar, and Rollins. It was an awesome triple threat match, and this was like Because since then, you see, when Rollins won the title at WrestleMania after he cashed in, he feuded with Randy Orton. That feud was kind of meh. He feuded with Ambrose, which that feud was, Ambrose and Rollins always put on pretty good matches. And then, of course, he had a match with Brock at Battleground, but it was more so just an angle to set up Undertaker's return. So there was not really a decisive finish in that match. But this match, I feel like, was what helped the crowd gain a lot more respect for Seth Rollins as champion. Because, I mean, as much as he deserved to be in that spot, he was not booked the best as champion. He was booked like a typical chicken shit heel, pretty much. But yes, he won with a little bit of a dirty finish thanks to the surprise help from Jon Stewart with the steel chair and whatnot. But I still feel like, Cena made Rollins like $1 million and a true main event player in this match. He had a lot of counters. He kicked out of an AA. He also hit an AA on Cena himself. I don't think he got a curb stomp in this match. No, that's right. I'm sorry. He was not using the curb stomp at this time. They took that away off him after WrestleMania because Vince thought it looked too generic for his champion, his top guy, which is complete bullcrap. Because that move was Seth Rollins uniquely. Yeah, this is a great back and forth match. These two had a lot of good chemistry here. I remember when they first brought up, the feud again, they were going to be doing this match again. I'm just like, why? We saw it how many times last month, but I'm glad we saw it because it was, again, up on another level. Despite the fact Rollins won the U.S. title and was, only U.S. and World Heavyweight Champion for a month, it was still a good blow for him. I feel like to, give him that extra momentum some way to, have him, to see, make him a bigger star than he was. So that's what I thought this match accomplished. Of course, the surprise of Jon Stewart attacking John Cena, which after on Raw he would claim was because he didn't want to see Ric Flair's record be tied and whatnot. So that's why he did what he did. So yeah, it's selling little points, but again, the match is still a pretty good match. Probably the second best match of the show, I felt, in my opinion. So Rollins wins, and he becomes both, for the first time, the World Heavyweight Champion and the United States Champion. All right, then we had this. It was a triple threat tag team elimination match. Team Bella, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and Alicia Fox taking on Team PCB, which was supposed to be called the Submission Sorority, but I forgot why they got taken away. And then they brought the generic Team PCB because Paige, Charlotte, and Becky. And then also the third team was Team Bad, Blonde and Beautiful and Dangerous. Naomi, Tamina, and Sasha Banks. This match was alright. I mean, it was a triple threat elimination match. Brie Bella, eliminations didn't really feel like they meant much because Brie Bella eliminated Tamina, to eliminate Team Bad, and then Team PCB eliminated Team Bella after Becky hit some random suplex on Brie. So like the more random names seem to do that, but again, this was meant to, try to, put over this whole idea that there's a Divas revolution coming along and whatnot, or a women's evolution, or whatever heck it was going towards. But at this time, it was kind of a bad taste. It felt like, it was another excuse for Nikki not to defend her title, because, again, this was around the time, because, as I said before, I was acceptable of Nikki Bella's Divas title reign until she did not drop it to Naomi. I really felt she should have dropped it to Naomi, because Naomi was gaining a lot of great credibility as a heel. I thought it was fresh, and I always thought Naomi was a very overlooked talent. I mean, even though rumors have it was supposed to be AJ Lee, pretty much being in Naomi's role, pretty much, that she played in the summer 2015. But since AJ Lee retired shortly after WrestleMania 31. They put Naomi in that spot instead, which, would have been good, because I feel like, Paige and AJ Lee, had a great feud in 2014, but I feel like it was too soon to have them feuding again, even with the roles reversed and whatnot. But, so yeah, I mean, this was alright, but it was just another way I felt was to stall Nikki Bella's Divas title reign, so that way she didn't have to defend it again, and, just not have more dramatic. And I still was ticked off the way they had Charlotte face Nikki on the Monday before Night of Champions, and Charlotte rolled up Brie Bella instead of Nikki by accident. That was like a troll move there. Plus, also, they did it the day that Nikki tied the record. Like, what was the point of that way? Nikki was still had the record, whatnot, set either way. Drops on the floor, sorry. So I wouldn't really like that. So, but this match, still, it was decent, but again, it didn't really make me feel like there's a big evolution coming. It was just all about Nikki's title reign and whatnot. Of course, Nikki would drop it. She would have a rematch at Hell in a Cell, and that's when she would go away for about 9 or 10 months with that neck surgery she got, and kind of go more on a part-time schedule. But yeah, so Team PCB wins thanks to Becky Lynch pinning Brie Bella. We then had Cesaro taking on Kevin Owens. These guys put on a pretty good match. It was not great, but it was still a good match. But the crowd was just tired out at this point. We weren't really that into the show anymore because it was just long. It wasn't boring, but it was just we were burned out, especially from the Rollins and Cena match was like kind of like the one that match that kind of just burned us out pretty much. But it was a match that had featured two people that we felt needed something big here. Like Cesaro, was just on the midst of a singles push since him and Tyson Kidd had to split up because Tyson Kidd suffered that career-ending neck injury, and then Kevin Owens had just came up to the main roster and he lost his feud with John Cena despite that amazing debut match he had with Cena at Elimination Chamber, and he beat Cena clean. And then, Cesaro was getting singles momentum too, having the matches with Cena in his U.S. Open challenges, especially that second one on Raw. Like that was probably of all Cena's U.S. Open challenge, U.S. title Open challenge matches he had. The second one with Cesaro, I thought was my favorite. So that's what got me invested in this match. Also, so it's two people like, okay, one of them could use a big win, so pick your poison. And it ended up being Kevin Owens, and he would go on to feud with Ryback and have a run with the Intercontinental Championship, which I thought was good for him. So yeah, some good back and forth action there, fast paced. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Kevin Owens wins the match, and then finally we get the main event, the rematch from WrestleMania 30: Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. The Undertaker again returned at Battleground, confronted Lesnar, him with a low blow, and him hit a couple of tombstone pile drivers on him. And, the night afterwards, they had that amazing, one of my favorite brawls I could ever say to happen on Raw was the brawl between Brock Lesnar and Undertaker night after Battleground. That was an unreal brawl. I loved it. It was awesome. It built up great for a match. It was pretty much, a blood match. There was a little bit of blood in the match, too, because Lesnar got busted open, I think, when they were brawling by the tables. But, as soon as Taker came out, Lesnar was in the ring waiting for him, and Taker didn't even get in the ring yet, and Lesnar started brawling with him. And these guys literally went out there and had a fight. They did some shots on the announce tables and whatnot. They were just, it was physical. At the time, again, we were all kind of burnt out and tired a little bit because of the show. The show being long, we weren't used to, a 4-hour show. Well, since WrestleMania, I can't remember. I think it was WrestleMania was 4 hours, was close to 4 hours. I can't remember if it started at 7 or 8. Yeah, I think it had to, because while they done 4-hour show with SummerSlam, if WrestleMania wasn't 4 hours long. Anyways, getting back to this match, but I still thought this was a really great physical match watching it again. Of course, my favorite part in the match was when Lesnar Savage started laughing and Taker Savage started laughing. He was like, yeah, and that was a moment right. That was a moment right there. That was a classical moment right there. But yeah, these two went out there and literally beat the crap out of them. I couldn't have asked for more from what I wanted to see from this match. The only thing, of course, was that finish, and I remember it kind of soured on me a little bit the way they did that finish. But I feel like, it still worked some ways to make both of them kind of looking strong and setting up for the final match between these two, which was a Hell in a Cell, and a really good Hell in a Cell match. But what happened was, they hit their finishers, the F5 and the Tombstone did not work out, so then they started going with submissions. Brock Lesnar had the Kimura lock on Undertaker. Now, the referee, I think it was Charles Robinson, was on the other side of Taker's right hand, so he didn't see, but Taker was tapping out on his hip. Now, he didn't call for the bell, but somebody rang the bell, and he's like, hey, what happened? I didn't do that. And when he wasn't looking, Undertaker low blowed Brock again and put him in the Hell's Gate. Now, I said earlier I couldn't believe that they took out the part of New Day making fun of Jay-Z, but this is the part I was surprised they didn't even blur out. Taker got Brock to pass out to the Hell's Gate, but as Brock was passing out, he gave Taker the finger. I am really surprised they did not blur it out, because it was quick and brief from far away, when Stone Cold Steve Austin does it whenever he shows up anymore. But it was clear as crystal, right in front of your face. You see that. I was just really surprised they could blur out. They could take out the Jay-Z thing, but they couldn't take out this. But because of that, though, of course, Taker won by submission afterwards, Heyman snapped and he started smacking the bell and pretty much just like, arguing, protesting the fact that, hey, the bell was rung and Brock did get Taker to tap out pretty much, but except for the third match between these two at Hell in a Cell. To culminate this feud and to have Brock Lesnar being cemented as the Conqueror, pretty much. But still, a great match. The finish soured on me back then, not as bad now, but I thought this was definitely a really good main event match for this solid. This is the solid edition of SummerSlam, which I give SummerSlam 2015 a B-, like an 80%, because there was some good matches on the show, like Taker and Lesnar and Cena and Rollins was really good. Everything else was not bad, but quite a few of these matches, I felt like, it felt like matches you would just see on Raw or something like that, but they were still good for what they are. Again, the only match I did not really enjoy watching this again was Ziggler and Rusev. Other than that, still not a bad show. B-, 80% for this SummerSlam. What grade would you give SummerSlam 2015? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, sure to click buy, like, and subscribe, more content come to the channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAir93. And I'll see you guys next time in the final edition of the retro part of this SummerSlam review series. As of course, all other SummerSlams from here on out will be added into this playlist, of course. But I will see you next time in SummerSlam 2016, and we will wrap up my third retro and review series for this channel. So guys, thank you again for tuning in. I'm checking out, and I'll see you all later. Peace out, everybody.